In 1976, Volkswagen created the very first hot hatch. Needless to say, it caught on. But which one is best? Well, let's take a look at the contenders. First off, the Ford Focus ST, featuring 250 horsepower and weighing in at 3,223 pounds. The Honda Civic Type R, with 305 horsepower and weighing in at 3,042 pounds. The the Citroen Ds3 Racing, puts down 203 horsepower, weighs 2,568 pounds, and is front-wheel drive. The Renault Clio RS, putting down 216 horsepower and weighing in at 2,599 pounds. The Renault Megane RS Trophy, puts down 261 horsepower and weighs 3,058 pounds. Messerschmitt Mark 7 GTI, with 216 horsepower weighing in at 3,064 pounds. And finally, the Peugeot 208 GTI, featuring 204 horsepower and weighing in at 2,646 pounds. And last place goes to the Ford Focus ST. It was a very disappointing display on track. It understeered everywhere, especially under power. It's heavy, it has lots of body roll, very poor braking, needs more tires. What else can I say? I love this car in GT6, but clearly this is a more modern version, so they've made some changes and I'm not a fan. It just feels really heavy, especially in the front, and it just pushes absolutely everywhere. So 7th place it is. Unfortunately, 6th place has to go to the Peugeot 208 GTI. It shares many traits with the Ford, which is quite unfortunate, and while this is much lighter, it's also much less powerful. So in the straightaways, the Ford will eat this thing for lunch. In the corners, it's not much better. This thing plows everywhere, and stepping on the throttle makes it 10 times worse. Overall, it's just a slow car. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. 5th place goes to the Citroen Ds3 Racing. This thing was a really fun car to drive. It had solid handling with some rotation on quarter entry, which is nice, especially from a front-wheel drive car. And it's a blast to drive. Problem with it is power, or rather lack of power. This thing only makes 203 horsepower, and it honestly felt like even less. Probably bad gearing, I'm not quite sure, but overall this thing took forever to get going on the straightaways. While it was fun in the corners, its lack of power meant it just couldn't keep up with the rest of the pack. Unfortunately, our 4th place contender suffers from the exact same problem. Meet the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Unfortunately, its lack of power is a detriment to an otherwise excellent vehicle. This thing handles so neutral, it's hard to believe it's just a front-wheel drive. It feels all-wheel drive, and it puts down that power. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of power to put down, so it couldn't keep up with a lot of other vehicles in this pack. So, unfortunately, 4th place it is. Third place goes to the Renault Clio RS. Its short gearing and lightweight help it make up for its lack of power. And that lightweight also helps it in the corners. This thing is a great little track weapon, and I highly recommend it. In 2nd place is our lap time king. This thing set the fastest lap time around the racetrack out of all the cars in our lineup. That is quite simply thanks to 305 horsepower and very lightweight. That also helped it in the corners, and the only thing keeping this from 1st place was its amount of understeer in the corners. Even looking at the throttle would cause this thing to push off, which makes sense with 305 horsepower, but man, this thing was a blast to drive. And now the winner of our comparison test. The Renault Megane RS Trophy. This thing was a blast on track. This thing could nearly keep up with the Type R despite having 40 less horsepower. This thing was a blast through the corners, it was a blast on the straightaways. This thing did not step a tire wrong the entire time I was driving it. It feels much lighter than it is, and it has good gearing to boot. So honestly, this is the best car I drove today. So I'm definitely going to be taking this out for a spin, possibly upgrading it, and you're going to see it again in a future video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and that was my hot hatch comparison test. I'll catch you guys later.